Aloha, welcome to Healthy Ukulele. So today we are going to be going over the chord extensions, and we had gone over last week all the series of ways that we look at the fretboard, and we'd gone over the cops always get free donuts. We'd gone over the Adamski method. We've gone over the Tetris method. So the thing that we're going to find today is our cops always get free donuts is based off of 5 shapes, but those 5 shapes come from 3 shape chords, what we call triads. And if you look at it on the fretboard, even though I'm saying that this is a C shape, right, we're actually playing a first inversion, or in fact in this case a second inversion C. So we have the 5 on top, the 1, and then the 3, right? So this is the second inversion of our regular C shape, which would be an A shape for us on the ukulele, right? Top 3 strings. So we have as our top form. The bottom form of this is the first inversion. This is the second inversion, which is the same as this, right? And then we've got this. So our 5 shapes is actually combining 3 top string shapes and 3 bottom string shapes, and that's how we get our triad chords. Now when we get into these tetrachords, right, where we have 4 of them, 4 notes, we only can use 4 shapes because we've only got 4 strings, right? In this case we don't have the ability to kind of cover each other. So that being said, our cops always get free donuts thing doesn't exactly go out the window, but it's not as particularly pertinent as the Adamski method or the Tetris shapes idea in this case. However, I'm going to show you how to make use of them. Okay, so first things first, right? We have to understand how chords are built. So we're going to go back to our diagram here. Right, and we have our scale. Wherever we start, we go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and a half step. Right, and then we have those letters of whatever scale we're playing, and those letters are going to be our starting points and our building blocks for our chords. So in this case, we're going to start simple. No sharps or flats. We're going to start with the key of C. Okay? Alright, in the key of C, you guys know that the letters are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, right? So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. How we build our chords, right, is we take our starting note. In this case, we want to start and build a 1 chord, right? Because there's 1. C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, etc. So we'll take our 1 chord. And the way we build that is we take our C, we skip over D, take E, skip over F, go to G, and this makes a triad. Okay, that makes our 3-note chord. And we build our chord by skipping over notes. Okay, so if we were to build a major 7 chord, we're going to skip over 1 more. Right, so let's take this into context. First, build our triads. Okay, so C is C, E, G, right? And then we set our 2 chord, our 3 chord, and our 6 chords, our minor chords, because they have a flattened third based on the scale of the starting note, not the scale that we're in, but the starting note, right? So in this case, we have D, F, and A. Now when I said that it'd be a flat third, it's because in the scale of D, F is actually a sharp. So if we go and we type in D, F, A, we're actually playing a flatted third in the key of D, which would make it a D minor, right? So let's go ahead and notate that. Let's move this guy back and give it a little M in front of it, D minor. Okay, next chord, same thing. We said 3 was also minor, right? So I have E, little m. And that's going to be E, G, B. Four and 5 in our triad series is major. So we have F, and this is going to be F, A, C. Going to G, we have G, B, and D, A minor, right? Small m because 6 is a minor chord. We have A, C, and E. And last but not least, our B diminished chord. You guys remember the lesson on the diminished chords, right? So this is a diminished triad, and we're going to play B, D, F. So these chords we're going to learn today, they're called extensions, meaning we're extending the chord that we already have. So as in the example, when I give you C, E, and G, I said we were going to add in the next skip note, which is B. Right? And we do that with all of our chords. We get this. We're going to add in the B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Okay, now what that's going to do is this creates our new chord. So in this case, C delta, right, or C major 7. And you can write that like this with a major 7, or we can just leave it at delta. Okay, it's a little triangle. And then we have D minor 7. And we put a little minus and a 7. Could be minor 7, or we might make a little m. DM7, yeah? And we have same thing, E minor 7, F major 7, or F delta, G7, right? The reason this is G7 is because in the key of G, F is a sharp, so we'd be flattening the 7, right? So flattening the 7 would give us a dominant 7 chord. A minor 7, and last but not least, we have this weird one, right? Comes to B minor 7 flat 5, or we can write this as B half diminished. Okay, minor 7 flat 5 is half diminished. So we see the types of chords that we have here. Okay, let's take a look at them. Get our highlighter out. So we have a delta, or major 7 chord. We have minor 7, right? We also have dominant 7, and we have a half diminished chord. Okay. Now that we've gone over our chord construction, we can start to realize why we only have 4 shapes instead of 5, right? Each of these notes, every one of those chords has how many notes in it? It's got 4. So that means I've got to play all 4 of those notes. It means I only have 4 separate starting points in their inversions. And now, instead of having one chord with 2 inversions, I have one chord with 3 inversions, right? So I have 4 pictures the same chord, which brings us to our dilemma. Okay, so we are stuck in this mode where in our triad series, our cops always get free donuts chord shapes. What had happened was we had these chords, right? we have these beautiful chords that line up and turn into this. Okay, so you see how that ties in. C shape ties to the A shape, A shape ties to the G shape, G shape ties to the F shape, and the F shape to the D shape, and we go back to the C shape, and hurrah, hurrah, Bob's your uncle. Okay, this goes on over and over. This repeats wherever we can start a root shape, taking to that chord shape. Okay, now here's what happens. Let's try, if you will, to build a chord off of our first chord picture. So let's just start with our friend right here, the A shape, right? Because that's the most logical, because it's got our first picture, 1, 3, 5 in the triad. So let's copy him. Now check this out. If I were to put this here, all right, and we said we have to go 1, 3, 5, 7. Well, we know already that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 make our major scale. 3 and 4 are half steps. So are 7 and 1. We know from our Cops Always Get Free Donuts that these are both octaves, right? They're both the root. And this means that one of these has to move back. Because we're going in order 1, 3, 5, 7, right? I can move this 1 down a half step and create a 7. So this is how I would play C major 7. Not a problem. Nobody would see an issue with this. Okay? But, and it's a big but, okay, we are going to be looking a little bit further. So let's do this. We're going to go, let's grab these. I'm going to copy them. Copy. So, like how we did with these shapes here, right? If I look at this, this is 1, 3, and 5, right? And then that 1 on the same line, the next number that we have would be 3. Right? So this would be 3, and because this is 3, this next number is 5. Right? Because this is 5, that's 1. So you see, it always goes to the next number. Right? That's how we built our shapes. Well, if we do that here, let's copy these. Okay. If we go here, we got to start at this note, right? That's 3. So let's do this. Okay. So you see 1, there's 2, that's 3. Okay, good enough. Well, not really, right? Because this right here was 3, so we got to move that to 5, which would be here. Okay, and this is 5, which would go to 7, which would be here. Not hard to play so far, right? But this has to go to 1. Man, that's a stretch. Alright, so let's change color of these guys. Okay, now you see the dilemma here, right? How are you going to play that? You know, it's kind of a hard chord to play. So, in order to not have to be stuck in these modes, where we're playing these almost impossible, and in some cases actually impossible, chord shapes on the fretboard, a system was developed. And this is a system that is used in jazz guitar, and they call it drop 2. Now, it's a big deal in guitar to know drop 2 voicings. In ukulele, it's just how we play, because we only have 4 strings, right? So this is the advantage I tell people all the time when they ask me, is guitar easier to learn or is ukulele easier to learn? And the answer is yes. Okay? The reason is guitar will teach you to be a better ukulele player, and ukulele will teach you to be a better guitar player. And this is one of the main reasons, because of the idea of drop 2. So let's explore what drop 2 is. Okay, let's go back to our pictures here, right? Our chart. Let's take our CEG, or our CGB, right? This is our, we said this was our major 7 chord. So C, E, G, and B. And this was our first picture that we looked at, where we said we could play it, but then the next shape was probably going to be really, really hard or next to impossible. So what you do in a drop 2 idea is you take your second highest voice and you would move it to the bottom. You'd make it your lowest voice, right? So let's look at all of our inversions of this. Okay, so we got C. First inversion would be E, G, B, C. Second inversion, G, B, C, E. And third inversion, B, C, E, G. Right? Those would be the inversions. Now, if we were to play these, no problem. Kind of getting to be a problem. What the hell? And I quit. Okay, that's where that would lie in terms of fingerings. However, if we play the drop 2 voicings, everything makes sense. Check this out. We're gonna go like this. Take our second highest note, put it to the bottom. Let's move this over. Second highest note, put this to the bottom, move this over. Second highest note, this to the bottom, move this over. Second highest note, put this to the bottom, and move this over. Now notice, right? We didn't just take this, right, as it was, and we didn't just do this thing where we would take this order and then start from here, and then start from here, and then start from here like we did earlier. We had to take each individual voicing and move the second highest note down. This gives us 4 unique pictures. Okay, now if you're following so far, this is a basic music theory in terms of like what you would learn in music school for like piano and stuff. On the guitar though, keep in mind this is like a new frontier. On the ukulele, we usually don't learn theory. We usually learn by put your finger here and sing these words. And so because of that, this is a new frontier for most of us. But if you're coming from another instrument that used a lot of theory, this is par for the course. Okay? So let's take our little example. We said we were going to put the G in the bass, right? So let's try that. Okay, so now I've got these 4 notes, right? So G in the bass, I've got G, then I got C, E, B, right? Look at that. Oh, can we play that? Simple enough, right? Well, if we took each of these notes and went up to the next number in the sequence, right? This was 5, right? So 5 is going to go to 7. 5, 6, 7, right? So let's move up and we'll do the next picture where it goes like this. Paste. Oh, wrong thing. Let's do this again. Grab this, copy, and erase this. Okay, go back down here. That's what I did wrong. Should have pasted it first, not any of that stuff. There we go. Okay, that's our first picture, right? We can play that. Okay, so this being 5, 6 would be a whole step away, 7 is here, right? So let's paste right here. 7, okay. Easy for us to hit this one, right? This was 1, 2, 3, so that stays where it is, right? This was 3, right? 4 is right here, 5 is here, so we got to bring this one down there, and this one is 7, 1 is right next to it, so that means we bring these two down there, and we got our next shape, right? So if I put this here like this becomes our next chord. We can play that. That's easier to play, right? But just for giggles, we're gonna go ahead and see that we're at the 4th fret here, right? In this case, the next one let's place that same shape right here, just so we can see where we're coming from, and then I'll move everything after that. Okay, so we're just gonna go like this so that we can see that that shape is where we're starting. Right? That first one was 5, went to 7. Now it's got to go where? To 1, right? Well, look at this. 7 goes to 1. And 3 has to go to 5, right? And then 5 has to go to 7, so and 1 has to go to 3. So that's my next picture. Okay, in this case this would be on the 5th fret because that was the 4th fret, right? So we're just gonna get rid of that so we understand where that was. Easy enough. Okay, that's that shape. Now if we took this shape and we placed it here, let's do that. Okay, so this is our starting point. Now we said that this was our 7, right? So our root would be here. Right, that was the root of that, so this has to go to 3, so that would go here. Right, that was the 5. 5's got to go to 7, which is, so if we look at it, that's 5, 6, 7, right? We said this is our root. This is 3. We're at 4 now. We got to bring it to 5. So this is my new shape, right? If this is where we started on the 5th fret, right, then this means that this is our shape. 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret. That's where the root is, here on the 8th fret. Okay, making sense so far? We're just tying the shapes together. Now, those are in the major 7 shapes. So let's go ahead and find where our roots are. Starting here, open. Right? From there we went to the root goes here now, yeah? Roots here. here. Let's give you a close-up so you can see better. Okay, starting off, C major 7. It's the first position, drop 2 voicing. Second position, drop 2 voicing. Third position, drop 2 voicing, root on 4. And fourth position, drop 2 voicing, root on 2. Okay, root on 3, root on 1, root on 4, root on 2. Let's go ahead and notate that. Okay, so we're going to change the color of our roots. Okay, so this is going to be root, root on 1, root on 4, and root on 2. Okay, now I promise you that was the hard part. Okay, after that everything gets easier. Now, what was the difference between the minor 7 and the major 7? Well, the major 7 had a 7 on it, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. The minor 7, we're flatting the 3, that makes it a minor, and we got to flat the 7 too. So we take our 7 and bring that down a half step. That gives us a minor 7 chord. To make a dominant 7 chord, we would just flat the 7. We don't flat the 3, right? And to make our minor 7 flat 5 chord, we flat everything except the root. Okay, the root doesn't get flat, everything else gets flat. Okay, now check this out. By following those rules, we can find our chord shapes. Okay, so we'll go here, and this will follow the root being the same color. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to use this one as my last shape because I can't flat anything here, right? I can't flat my 3, I can't flat my 7. So what I'm going to do, well, actually I could flat the 3, I could flat the 7, I can't flat the 3. So I'm going to move this shape down here to the bottom, and I'm going to put this as my last shape. Okay, so that means it's going to go here. And we're just going to keep in mind that the root is on the 12th fret. Okay, so we're going to pretend that that's where the red one is, that's 12. Okay, and we're going to flat 3 and 7. That's the chord shape. Yep. Come on, move. There we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take this one, copy, we're going to put this in the top. And this will be where we start. Okay, so we're going to flat the 3 and the 7. Well, we know where the 3 is, right? If you look at it like this, right? This is going to be, we said that this was 5, that's 7, that's 1, and that's going to be the 3. So we flat the 3 and the 7, we get this shape. Okay, grab the next shape. We go here. I'm going to pretend this root is on the 5th fret. Alright, we're going to flat the 3 and the 7. So that means we flat everything but the 5. And this is going down. There. And last but not least, I'm going to be taking this shape Placing it here, pretending that the root is on the 8th fret, and we're going to flat 3 and 7, right? And that makes this shape. Oops. Hey, get over there. There we go. So now we have our 4 shapes of minor 7. So we said this was major 7, right? And this was minor 7. Okay, now we need dominant 7, right? So we're going to take our starting point. Let's just grab this guy again. Because I don't have to flat that 3. I can place this shape right here. The only thing I'm flatting is that 7. And I can do that. Right? That goes down. Next shape. I'm going to go ahead and put that there. I'm going to flat the 7. Next shape. Root on the 5th fret. Flat the 7. And last but not least, root on the 8th fret. And we flat our 7. This makes for a dominant 7 chord. Now for the weird one, the minor 7 flat 5. Again, because I'm going to be flatting things that aren't, we're not able to flat here, we're going to put this one as the last one and pretend that the root is on the 12th fret. Okay, so this. So we're going to use that as our 3rd inversion. Pretend that this is the 12th fret. And this one, it might seem hard when you think about trying to flat all those different notes, but not really, right? I could realistically just do this. Right, because I flat everything except the root, meaning I just moved the picture of the root up. Easy enough. Take this. Right, everything gets flat but the root. Root's on 3rd string or 3rd fret. Goes right there. Right. Everything gets flat but the root. Root's on the 5th fret. There you go. Root's on the 8th fret. Right, so we just move everything here. Yep. Come on, get on there. And move that up. And there's your minor 7 flat 5, or your half diminished picture, right? Now, put it into context on the fretboard. Right, starting off with our major 7 chord shapes. We said we had this. Yeah, that's the first position. Second position. Third position. Fourth position. Notice I'm saying position and not inversion. Right? Why don't I say inversion? Right, because it's not in order. Right? We drop 2 voicing. So we have our 4 positions. Minor 7, same thing. We'd have to start here because I can't go further down, right? So first position for C, minor 7 is on the first string. Right? Then we go here. Okay, and then we go. Right, root. And then last but not least, our root going down this way would be this. Okay. Dominant 7 chord, right? We start with a major 7, move the root down 1, or the 7 down 1, right? Okay. Okay, there's my dominant 7 shapes. Okay, starting again, minor 7 flat 5, I can't go back here, right? So I gotta go here. Starting there, let's take our minor 7 and just flatten the 5. Minor 7 chord, flat the 5. Okay, minor 7 chord, flat the 5. Right, minor 7 chord, flat the 5. So I got this shape right here, right? So because this is just minor 7, flat 5. Okay, and then minor 7, flat 5. Those are the chord shapes, and that kind of solidifies how these go. Now check this out. Because we have a position on each one where the root is on one of the 4 strings, right? Every one of those has a root on each of the strings. So if we look at our major 7, starts with the root being on 3rd, then it goes root on 1st, root on 4th, root on 2nd. Same thing with the dominant, right? Starts with root on 3rd, root on 1st, root on 4th, root on 2nd. However, the minor 7 flat 5, or the half diminished chord, starts with the root on 1, because we can't go further down on the open position. So root on 1, root on 4, root on 2, root on 3 on both of those setups. That being said, we combine this with our Adamski method, right? So if we look at our picture here, key of C, right? Or you could also use the Tetris method, or even the Cops Always Get Free Donuts method to find our chord shape, right? So we know that this is 1 because that's C, right? 7 3 6 2 5 1 4 is our number. If that's 1, 4 is underneath it. 7 3 6 2, right? So there's my chord scale. So that would be 6. 6 was a minor 7, right? And the minor 7 with the root on 4 looks like this. Easy enough, right? What number is that? That's 7, right? The minor 7 shape, or in minor 7 flat 5, dominant, the half diminished, right, with the root on 7, looks like this. Or root on 4, sorry, root on 4 looks like this. Right, root on 4 for major 7. Okay, that's a 2. 2 is a minor. Root on 3, minor 7. 3, minor 7 also. Major 7. Right, that's 4. 5, dominant 7. 6 is a minor with the root on 2. 7 with the root on 1. Right? 1, major 7. That would be where all my pictures flow. And that's in whatever key I decide to put the root on. Right? And that's one position. And we have 4 pictures. So that gives us 4 positions. 4 positions that we can work this from. However, using the Adamski method, we can actually see 5 positions, but you'd have overlapping shapes. Easy enough, right? Kind of hard when you think about it too much. But if you don't think about it too much and you just look at these pictures and you follow along with just how we got them and how they tie into our scale, then everything becomes easy to understand. So next week what we're going to be doing is putting these together. We'll take these pictures, we're going to make a practice out of them, and we're going to put them together with our other methods. Once we understand this, again, the deep dive into this series is one of those things that I don't expect you to get it today. I don't expect you to get it tomorrow. But eventually you're going to understand it. And when you understand it, it's going to be like, is that all this is? Is that all they do when they figure out music? And then you understand that music is math. And that math is logical. And it makes sense. And as you go through it, your understanding expands. Hopefully this has been fun. I'll see you guys next week. We will go ahead and tie these pictures together. And it'll be a blast. All right.